Another trick that I want to be able to show you how to do is sort of a false spotlight effect. I have a couple things going on in this animation, um, and together they make for a kind of elegant little loop. It's actually very simple to do this, and I'm going to show you how. We're actually going to only need a single layer to pull this off. So I'm going to start a new composition, and I'm going to call this Spotlight Text. We're going to leave it HD 24 frames per second is fine. We're not going to need more than 10 seconds, so we don't need to change that. And the background of black is perfectly okay, so we hit OK. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to build that text layer, which is actually where all the animation features are going to happen. So I'm going up here, I'm going to go Layer, Text, and I am going to pull up my character settings and see what I'm going to do. I've made sure that my font is selected to have something that I can see, and I'm going to type Webster. All right, if I want to align that, again, if I want to make sure that is aligned to center, then I can go to the Align section, which is under the All Panels here with the little fast forward thing, fast forward button. So if I go to Align, I can actually say, please center this left to right and top to bottom. All right. If you ever don't see anything come up when you're making adjustments, it could be because your caps lock is on. I do this to myself a lot. It doesn't render when caps lock is on, so you have to take the caps lock off to see what you're actually doing. It may be parked on a frame that's already rendered, but as soon as you make an adjustment, you won't be able to see it. Okay, so we need to create a mask for this. So we're going to use the pen tool, just like we have in other programs and earlier on in After Effects, and we're going to draw the shape of our spotlight. I kind of want you to be able to read the whole word for just a minute, so I'm not actually going to make it circular. I'm going to make it kind of a weird oval shape. So as I start drawing around it, you can make for perfect curves if you want. I'm sloppy and it works just as well. I can always move some of these around if I'm not happy with them. But that's it. I have made a mask. Now, if I go into my mask controls, which again, I can uncollapse this down here, or I can just hit the letter M and then all the mask controls come up. Then I can actually create movement for this mask. So everything is keyframeable. We can say, all right, I want to set a keyframe for the mask path, and I'm just going to set the first one at the beginning of my animation. So I'm going to say, boom, there's my first keyframe. Now, anytime I touch with the pen tool, it assumes I want to make more dots. Okay, so if you want to move things, you got to go back to the selection tool or the arrow. All right, so at the start of my timeline, I want this off to the left. So I am going to go to my mask path, and I am going to make sure that I am on the arrow, and then I'm going to grab my whole thing. And as I drag it over, you'll notice I can get rid of it. So first keyframe there is great. So let's say I want my spotlight to go across over the course of 4 seconds. All right, I'm going to set a 5-second loop by hitting N. And at 4 seconds in, I want another keyframe related to the path. So I'm going to go set a second one. And then I'm going to grab the shape again, and I'm going to move it to where it ultimately is supposed to end up. So I'm clicking and dragging. Of course, I am set to fit. I could have set this a little smaller, and it probably would have been easier to move around. Just something to keep in mind. All right, and then I'm going to look in the middle when it's blocking it and look at it and say, all right, do I like that? Do I like the speed? I could play it. That's pretty cool. And then it goes away. But it is kind of a hard edge. So I'm going to fit it again. I'm going to park somewhere where it's overlapping, and then I'm going to go into the mask controls that we're accustomed to. I'm going to click on mask. Notice that the option wasn't there, only the thing that I keyframed was there. So I closed the caret, I opened it again, and now I have access to the other stuff. So mask feather is what I'm looking for. I want to create a nice soft edge to this lighting effect. All right, and that'll apply with no keyframes across the entire comp. So if I hit the space bar now, it should animate across in a much more elegant way. And of course it's rendering as it goes. So here it is smoother. Nice. Nice. All right, the only thing that could make this cooler would be if it actually moved towards camera. So we're going to want to do some scaling here. So I'm going to go to the front of my timeline. I'm going to go to the scaling. Once again, I can open this, I can open transform and go to scale. Or if I want to go straight to it and I'm in a hurry, I can hit B just on this layer and hit the letter S and boom, scale comes up. So at the front of my timeline, let's set our first keyframe. Let's assume that that's at about, I don't know, 80% of its original size. And then we'll go to the end of the timeline and I will set another keyframe and I will set it for 100. Full size, right? So now when I play it, it should push as it's coming into the light, which is kind of nice. It's rendering, so it's going to take longer. Here's a smoother playback. And that is how you can add an element of elegance to a simple pushed text. It's good for revealing the title of what you're doing or to create a little drama.